The Christmas Village. This New-For-2025 Christmas event bills itself as the best Christmas theme park in Texas. But that is just what the park itself claims. However, the Christmas Village does an excellent job at capturing Christmas spirit and puts on an event that I wish Six Flags or SeaWorld could emulate when it comes to their Christmas celebrations. Still, there are some hesitations that I have about this park, and you can find out more in this review. With the grand opening on November 13th, 2025, the Christmas Village kicked off their existence and holiday calendar, being open Thursdays through Sunday on school weeks, and then taking Mondays off on the week of Thanksgiving and Christmas. As for attractions, the park lists a fair amount on their park map, but their overall setup is highly slated to encourage guests to buy Upcharge items, either food and drinks or various souvenirs. So if you're looking to spend extra money, then you'll likely have a fine time. But more budget-minded guests may find a lack of overall options. The star of the event, though, is the Village Depot, which is the 15-minute train ride that will take you out into the woods to look at various Christmas decorations. Despite having track on the park map, this is a trackless train or tram ride. But that's fine, as the purpose is simply to move people to see the Christmas lights. There are also two different tram car styles, with one having more cushioned seats, but not an open design on both sides of the car. The capacity of each train seemed good, and there's a nice queue if the train's dispatching every 15 minutes is not enough to keep up with overall demand. And guests are free to ride as many times as they like on their visit. It does take a long time to actually get to the lights, so the first 5 minutes you'll only see the general lights of the park, which still look great. And the music seemed to be a little off, as the Candy Cane Lane song would play about 30 seconds before you actually got to that part of the trail. Still, the displays were impressive and very well done for this type of ride through the woods, with nice themes for each area, and just a very charming overall atmosphere. The worst part was you almost went too fast through each area, or the lights were all on one side of the train. The right side seemed to have a bit more of the displays. Either way, it wasn't always easy to see all of the great lights that you were passing by. The end also seems to be a long way from the trail to the station, so there's another dull moment with this finale. The music isn't the most captivating, as it's not crazy loud and changes a bunch throughout the overall experience. So you can't really lean into rocking out to a Christmas song if a song is only playing for like 30 seconds or so. But the light displays are truly excellent and more than strong enough to carry the overall experience, with this experience being well above average for a Christmas train ride. The park did seem a bit more serious about safety procedures than other parks would be on similar rides, and they will load guests strictly front to back, sitting in a row with your own party, so you can't just wander onto your preferred row like most trains. They also were enforcing that children could not sit in outside seats on the tram, so parents have to sit in those positions for safety reasons. Plus, there was a small safety spiel before the train actually left, which was cute, as I thought I was back at Magic Springs in Arkansas. Right off the train depot is the Winter Wonder Walk. These are different lights than what you see going through the woods on the train, and the star of this seems to be the light-up trees that you pass. This also has a long walk to and from the main lights, which isn't as noticeable on the walk out, but it is a bit underwhelming when ending your experience. There's also no Christmas music in this section of the park. Normally, with something like this, either mood music would be playing or the lights would be synchronized to music. It just feels really quiet and reflective when you're out on the trail, as you're essentially off in the woods. The overall theming of the Plaza, while not an attraction per se, is excellent. And the feeling that Six Flags or SeaWorld really tries to emulate, but can't quite do with their holiday events. The lights around the trees are perfectly done to give that Christmas vibe, and the different themed buildings with painted snow on top feels like something straight out of a model train set of a Christmas village. So I was wowed upon entering, enjoyed the fake snow fluttering around, and still left stunned by the charm of these lights. There also is an incredible model train set, again not listed as an attraction on the map. Part of my love for roller coasters comes from my love of trains from when I was a kid. So I literally felt like a kid in a candy store, the train is in the candy store, as I marveled at the Polar Express train and all the various detail on the houses that it navigates around. You can see the train on the outside of the building as well, though these windows did get fogged up later in the evening. I really would like to be able to get closer to see all of the massive detail in this set, but with kids nowadays, I can understand keeping guests a bit back from the model village. Still, I really enjoyed this. Around the plaza are a mixture of food stalls and shops. Food seemed to be reasonably priced, around a little over $10 a meal, and ice cream was $3 for one scoop, with hot chocolate being around $4. The other stalls had old-timey artisans working on their various crafts that were available for purchase as gifts. There was a blacksmith, though you couldn't get too close to this, so it wasn't that exciting of an experience. The woman spinning yarn worked with you so you could make your own bracelet, which is a really cool way of incorporating these artisans into the experience by allowing meaningful interaction between us guests and their crafts. Evergreen Woodworks had really impressive carvings, and you were free to talk with these artists if you had any questions. The show lineup is a key part of this experience, as there aren't a lot of other options besides the lights. I find it unfortunate that they don't post their show times, as they want people to simply stumble upon their shows. But this strangely seems consistent with what Six Flags and SeaWorld are going for. The generic setting is just a song performance of pre-recorded Christmas tunes while the tree in the town square lights up. This is fine and sets the mood nicely as you walk around. Why there isn't a tree lighting ceremony each night like Six Flags does is kind of beyond me, as that would fit perfectly with the overall feel of this park. Then, a band will come on and play a few 45-minute sets of Christmas carols. On the Thursday that I visited, they did not have the full band, so I experienced a lesser version of this. Still, I just love Christmas songs, as The Christmas Presents is one of my favorite shows at Fiesta Texas. So I really enjoyed this, and ended up watching them sing for well over an hour on my visit. There was also an elf show after the second set, where the village elves, who just wander around the park and interact with guests anyways, come to the stage and sing the 12 Days of Christmas. But they add in corny jokes and take audience suggestions as to what to give on each day, so it does take the whole 20 minutes. This reminded me a bit of 'Twas a Merry Mishap at Six Flags Over Texas, but these actors were much better, and the sound was clear, so it was a very enjoyable family show that I would certainly suggest checking out. For those wanting the showtimes, on my visit, the first set of the band started at 5:30, with another at 6:45 and 8. The Christmas tree show was at 5 and 6:15, and the village elves performed at 7:30. I left a little after 8, as I had to work the next day, and most families seemed to be leaving by that time. Despite that, the park is committed to being open until 11 p.m. each night, which is something that I can really respect them for. Other listed attractions include the Naughty and Nice playground, which has some space for young kids to run around, and the Lantern Light Cinema that was showing classic Christmas shows like Rudolph. Both offered a nice atmosphere, but neither seemed to add too much to the overall experience. There are 2 Upcharge rides, but these are extremely expensive and are only carriage rides through the same light displays as the train. The carriage ride goes for $180, about $197 after taxes and fees, as you rent the whole carriage, whereas the wagonette ride is per person at $40 a piece, or about $45 after taxes and fees. Although cool and atmospheric, neither seems worth that high price. As for the arrival experience, the parking lot opens at 4, with gates opening at 5, with the first train going out at 5:30. So unless you need food, there's really no reason to really arrive right at opening, as there's not much else to do, especially as you'll want to wait until about 6 p.m. for the sun to go down to experience the lights. The parking lot seemed big enough despite their emphasis that they charge for parking due to limited space, but it could maybe be a bit bigger. Driving from Houston, you will need to exit I-45 in New Waverly and travel north on the left-hand feeder road for a couple of miles to get to the Christmas Village. Google Maps sends you this way seamlessly, but it is just awkward that there's not a closer exit. For me, this park was only a 30-minute drive from where I live in Conroe. But if you're looking at coming from further away in Houston, you will likely be looking at an hour drive, or more. And that's not counting the rush hour traffic that you can experience on a weekday between the Woodlands and Willis. But what about the price? I wasn't sure if I was going to make it up to the Christmas Village, so I didn't scout out pre-sale tickets, which normally make these experiences much cheaper. And I'm not sure if they offered any in their inaugural year. Currently, adult tickets are $35 plus taxes and fees, or $39.50, along with a $10 parking charge per car. So, as a solo adult, it was just over $50 for my visit, $50.33. This price seems a bit steep given that essentially the park is just a Christmas band and a light ride. Discounts of $10 are offered for kids, though this stops at age 12, and I feel like 18 would be a much more reasonable cutoff for kid pricing given the overall offerings of the park. But a family of 4, say 2 adults and 2 kids, a pretty good benchmark for an event like this, would run you about $147 after taxes and fees. This seems pretty high, especially as the park is set up to encourage guests to buy food and merchandise. So easily you can be looking at spending $200 on a visit. If the park really wants to keep prices this high to try and recoup some of the costs of building out the park overall, it would be nice if they gave guests, say, $20 of loaded value, so you could buy some food or get a discount on merchandise. Or the park could use more dynamic pricing to make weekdays cheaper, and just charge more as demand increases. Well, not charging for parking itself. Most of the workers I encountered were super friendly, but those selling food looked pretty bored on my visit, as few guests were buying food at the various stalls. Parks such as Yesterland Farm and Dewberry Farm have been promoting $20 tickets for their various Christmas events, as this is much more palatable for families, though these prices normally require purchasing during a pre-sale. But both parks have a lot more attractions to experience as well. Overall, how good is the Christmas Village? The atmosphere of this park is top-notch, as you step into incredible Christmas theming between the buildings and the lights. The signature train ride is an above-average experience and likely will be tweaked to be even better in the coming years. I enjoyed the simple shows, though a little bit more could be done here to turn these from solid to excellent experiences. The lack of additional attractions, whether that be rides or more interactive experiences, is noticeable, and makes the high ticket price a bit disappointing, as the park seems geared to try and get you to spend even more money beyond your ticket purchase. As for Christmas events around the Houston area, I still prefer Big River's Christmas, as it has similar offerings in a light trail and a walking path, while being at a much more reasonable price point. Though the quality of the Christmas atmosphere at the Christmas Village is a lot better. Magical Winter Lights combines beautiful light displays with amusement rides, so I prefer that as well, though it is light on the actual Christmas theming. The Christmas Village is a charming place, offering great lights with good Christmas charm, though again, I'm skeptical about the high price, as it does not seem worth $40 to $50 a person for an evening here. What are your thoughts on the Christmas Village? What Christmas events do you like around Houston? Let me know, as I'm always looking for new Christmas events. And, as always, Kapkun Krap.